Here's to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. Why do anti-Mormons fail? Well, Nietzsche might have the answer. Do you guys miss the good old days of recording an hour worth of video and then kicking back on the couch to watch it with the whole family, totally rough and unedited? Well, Kinflix is the app for you. Kinflix was designed to bring those happy memories back by easily recording and storing all of your video into one solid place instead of randomly scattered throughout your photo library, where you can then upload them to the internet and then download them to your computer in one long, rough, hour-long video where you can just sit back on the couch and watch your good old memories go by. So thanks again to Kinflix for sponsoring this video. The reason why I decided to get into YouTube video essays and talking about the gospel and stuff is because I used to really, ever since I got off my mission, I really had got a kick out of talking with lots of different people on the internet, mainly in YouTube comment sections, debating the merits of whether or not the church is true or not, and all of the crazy things that go into it. And so, needless to say, I did eventually read the CES letter, and my gosh, that book is a mess. Then once I got started with my own YouTube channel and I started making my own videos to try to, talk about some various claims, because I thought I had a unique perspective, with my existentialist philosophy and all that, to put out into the world that I hadn't seen any videos about. On one of my videos on critics, I had an ex-Mormon reach out to me, talking to me about how he left the church and how he was very disillusioned with the church and how he just created this whole massive book of just numerous things that he claims completely destroyed his faith. And so I decided to take a look at it while also sharing with him my own essay, 50 Questions that Mormons Can't Answer, Answered by a Mormon. And so I sent that over to him. Maybe I was hoping he could look at it, maybe give me some pointers, which he did, and I went ahead and added those in and addressed some of his concerns. But when I looked at his document, it was truly just like a weird, bizarre, cobbled together, super long, boring just document, and it was just so exhausting, just one thing after another, that I didn't know where to even begin. I didn't even know if I could say anything beneficial to the guy or if he would even consider what I had to say. And so it really put me off, And so it's been a while since I actually had like a good debate with ex-Mormons and anti-Mormons online. Sometimes I really feel like the writer of Ecclesiastes when I try to engage with ex-Mormons or anti-Mormons these days, where I feel like everything is vanity and there is nothing new under the sun. Because it's all just the same stuff repeated over and over again. There's nothing new for me to engage with anymore, I feel like this. As soon as everything is just rehashes and repeats of what was in the CES letter. There might be an occasional new thing here or there, but I'm just not seeing it. If anyone watching this has something new, please tell me. I want to know about it, because I feel like there isn't anything new under the sun at this point. I think part of the reasons I fell in love with Nietzsche is because he had a new, bold approach to Christianity in general that could very well apply to Mormonism, that I had never heard of before, and I absolutely love trying to engage with his book, The Antichrist, where it talks about how Christians are all about this slave morality, how it all goes back to when they were slaves in Egypt and then slaves to Babylon, and they just learned to hate what the rich and the powerful were up to, and instead they were like, oh, put power aside, just be humble and meek, and anyone that is above you, they are the truly evil ones, And so I feel like that was something new and bold that I had never heard of before. But I'm not getting that from anti-Mormons anymore. I'm not getting that from a lot of different people anymore. In Nietzsche's book, Thus Spoke Zarathustra, he outlines 3 metamorphoses that I think is the key to understanding anti-Mormon psychology and why so much of anti-Mormon debate and these days just sounds like the same old rehash that we've heard a million times. The first metamorphosis is the camel, and then the lion, and then finally there is the child. So first, the camel. Let us consider the Mormon who grows up in the church. He is the creature of burden. He is the camel. He takes upon himself all this dogma, all of this doctrine, and simply bears it. But then he starts to take on things that become even more burdensome. Perhaps he starts to learn more about polygamy, and then he starts to learn more about race and the priesthood, and then maybe the Mountain Meadows Massacre. And all of these things simply weigh on him until he can't take it anymore, and this is where the camel becomes the lion, and takes on the sacred no, and rejects all of the doctrine, all of the dogma that he has been taught up to that point. This is where he becomes skeptical and spiteful about all of the things that he had been taught, the dogma, the doctrine, the history. He simply says no, and he starts to debate people about it, and he probably picks up a copy of the CES letter along the way. However, the more he gets into anti-Mormon doctrine, the more he gets into all of this stuff that the CES letter claims, the more he might start to view the CES letter as scripture, as something that is so infallible that he can't think of anything else, that he reverts back from the lion to the camel and becomes a creature of burden once again, simply taking upon himself all of the doctrine and dogma that comes with being an anti-Mormon. And often they simply become stuck in this cycle with being anti-Mormons, that they can't think in any other way. They cannot rationalize in any other way. They cannot sit down and have a good, proper debate. They cannot sit down and try to understand the other person. All they can think of is why I am right and you are wrong. And this is where they will never progress. Why we have never seen any new anti-Mormon argument, why we have never seen an anti-Mormon progress to the child stage. Now, the child stage is something that I myself have been trying to obtain for quite some time now. I understand that in some points I am still the camel, taking upon myself the doctrines and dogmas of the church, but at the same time, I am very understanding towards those that have left the church and become atheists and have completely rejected God in their lives and the Book of Mormon as a whole. And so I very much sympathize with these people. And I have tried to take upon myself these lion aspects of saying no, but I don't want to get too into anti-Mormon skepticism and spitefulness and just overall negative, positive energy that they tend to assume. So I try to stay away from that. But the child stage is where one allows themselves to become creative and truly inventive and think of new, wild ideas that go beyond good and evil, that go beyond right and wrong, that go beyond simply everything around you. Let us consider children. Yes, there is that children can often believe whatever they are told to believe. They believe in Santa Claus. They believe in witches. They believe in superheroes. But that is what makes them special, is their willingness to believe. That is what makes them truly powerful, creative beings. How many of you have ever sat down to try to play a game with a child? They will often completely disregard the rules and simply make up their own rules and play to their own strengths, partially because they have a hard time understanding rules. But at the same time, I feel like there are games where, even when they do have a complete understanding of rules, they would rather play by their own rules instead in general. And this is where I believe children have a great edge over us. Children are willing to say yes and no. They are willing to be creative beyond our own cynical adult lives to something truly magnificent. They're able to come up with new solutions that maybe you would have never thought of before. They are the ones that ask why. You might tell them, they might ask, where does the water come from? And you will say, the water comes from the faucet. And they will ask, why does the water come from the faucet? And you will tell them it comes from drains. And they will ask, where do those drains get the water? And so on and so on. They continue down that rabbit holes because they are truly curious and truly have open minds to the universe and want to know every single little thing instead of constantly putting down other things. And this is the stage that I hope anti-Mormons will reach one day, that they will start to reject anti-Mormon dogma like the CES letter and start to create something new, bold, and inventive that nobody has ever heard of before. In part, there was one case in which I was so in my own head that when I was approached by one of these ex-Mormons, it was such an eye-opening matter, because she was that child who kept asking why and kept pushing me. She kept asking me questions that I could not answer, and so had to come up with new and creative ideas to address these answers, and I think I am all the better for it because of it. While she may be caught up in all of these doctrines and dogmas, she was still a child in that moment of trying to push me to expand myself beyond what I already knew, and that I am truly grateful. So, is there a new creative anti-Mormon argument that you have heard of recently? Please tell me about it in the comments section below. But if it is from the CES letter, I will promptly reject it, because I have heard those arguments about a bazillion times. And for the Latter-day Saint that is going through an existential crisis right about now, you can pick up my newly published book, Latter-day Saints Are Existentialists, right now available for order on Amazon. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe so the YouTube algorithm gods know to pick up my video and share it with others. And remember to keep it righteous.